Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. What should we make of the decisions taken by the Congress Working Committee today? On the one hand, it's extended the deadline for its internal elections by a year and effectively extended Sonia Gandhi as president for possibly the same period. On the other, it passed a unanimous resolution calling upon Rahul Gandhi to take over as president. So what does this mean about Rahul's future? With Sonia continuing as president, when will he succeed? And does the delay suggest that despite the CWC resolution, the whole party will be behind his succession? And finally, does he have the qualities and talent required of a Congress president? My guests are the political editor of The Hindu, Smita Patil, the political editor of India Today Television, Javed Ansari, the well-known Lucknow-based journalist Sharad Pradhan, senior BJP leader Sudhanshu Mittal, and former Congress Minister of State for Home Affairs, RPN Singh. RPN Singh, what should we make of the apparently contradictory decisions taken by the CWC today? You first extend the deadline for the completion of your internal elections, thus effectively giving Sonia Gandhi an extension which could last up to a full year. Then in the afternoon, you tell the world that the CWC has unanimously passed a resolution wanting Rahul Gandhi to take over as president. I mean, the two are clearly and patently contradictory. So what should we make of this?
No, Karan, I think there's no contradiction. I think you have to understand the Congress constitution in a better way. Extending elections for extending the elections for over a year does not mean that Rahul Gandhi cannot be a president before that. And as far as you're saying there are voices emanating that Rahul Gandhi should not be the president, I think that is completely off track completely. As you've learned today, the CWC unanimously asked Rahul Gandhi to take over as the president. There is no contradiction there, and that is absolutely clear. That is something that the Congress leadership as well as the Congress workers wanted Rahul Gandhi to take over as the president, and that has been made crystal clear, as Mr. Antony said in his press conference today.
I'll come to those voices that suggest that they don't want Rahul to take over as president immediately in a moment's time. But let me first pursue with you, Smita Gupta, the apparent contrary nature of today's two decisions. There were many journalists who watched the Congress party closely, you're one of them, who believed that an extension to Sonia Gandhi would be tantamount to some sort of vote of no confidence in Rahul. And that was certainly the impression in your article yesterday in your paper. Today, in the afternoon, we discovered that the CWC has passed a resolution asking him to take over and thus pushing for a change. Is there a change of heart, or was the Congress party simply misunderstood by journalists?
I think a couple of things have happened. One is that Mrs. Gandhi's illness earlier this year, when she went to Banaras, is more serious or has debilitated her more than we thought, number one. And number two, I think there was a certain impatience in the party that the organizational elections were not happening, the changes in the party were not happening, because they were waiting for that generational change to happen, which would mean that Rahul Gandhi would have to take over as president. So I think a certain section of the working committee, especially led by Mr. A.K. Antony and former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and some others, pushed for it, and so that that generational transition can take place. So yes, they did it very quietly. It's not that there were no differences about Rahul Gandhi's capacity to lead, but I think the party began to realize that Mrs. Gandhi would not be able to provide the kind of leadership that she has in the past, and she must have expressed that view to people. So in a way, that is what we saw today. It came as a surprise to all of us, and by postponing the organization, delinking the elevation of Rahul Gandhi from the organizational elections, now Rahul Gandhi, who sources tell us will take over as president before the end of this year, he will have a free hand to reimagine the party the way he wishes to. So, I mean, in the Congress party, in any case, there was no question till now, and there's been no challenge anyway to the leadership of the Gandhis. So it's the question of if it is going to be Rahul Gandhi, let him take over quickly, because it's already 2.5 years into this government, and 2.5 years therefore from the next general elections.
Let me bring you in on that.
He should also be given that time to prove himself or fail.
Let me bring you in on the wording of the resolution passed by the CWC, Mr. Mittal. The CWC, as Mr. Anthony at the press conference repeatedly stressed, not once but many times, strongly and unanimously recommended that Rahul Gandhi take over as president. Now, were they suggesting that he is reluctant and therefore they were encouraging and persuading him, or were they suggesting in another way that perhaps it's time for Sonia to go? Because it's a strange thing to do when you have a sitting president, that you start saying to someone else that he should take over immediately, because you can interpret it as a message to Sonia, it's time to move on.
I think this move, instead of being a message to Sonia ji, would probably be initiated by Sonia ji herself. But Karan ji, what is more important is that repackaging or relaunches have become an endless proposition as far as the nation is concerned. I am reminded interestingly of two such occasions. One was on the evening of 19th January 2013, when he was elevated to the position of Vice President. With such pomp and show, with such exuberance, the sun was to rise as if tomorrow. Rahul ji has now been elevated and it's a new era and a new beginning. And you shall see, and this and that, and you'll see what has happened.
Okay.
Then I'm again reminded that from 17th January 2015 to 12th April 2015, when he went for a sabbatical after he returned, again a relaunch was attempted. Now he's had introspection and he's had his sabbatical, and now you shall see a new politics. I am reminded of that शेर, उम्र दराज मान के लाए थे 4 दिन, 2 आरज़ू में कट गए तो इंतजार में. The promised delivery never happens.
Okay.
And it is for this reason that so often you hear the naras, Priyanka lao, Sonia bachao. You see, there is a challenge to the leadership itself in the Congress, because there is no belief in the leadership. For the purpose of any leadership, there are 2 ingredients: a dream in the eye and fire in the belly. Now, I don't think the Congress leadership itself is convinced.
I want to stop you there. I want to stop you there, Mittal Saab, because that dream in the eye and fire in the belly, and whether Rahul has either, is an issue I want to take up in part 2. Let's for now stick to what I call the strange developments that at least look contradictory to me. Let me put this to you. Here's another paradox. Sonia's tenure has effectively been extended, although we don't know for how long. It may be just up till the next state elections. It could be for a whole year. That's left undecided. It might even be only for just 6 weeks, as Smita was saying. But extended it's been. But that's happened at a time when there are concerns about her health. She really hasn't been visible since that accident in Varanasi, except once when we saw her on the 5th of October in the presence of Ranil Wickremesinghe with a hand in a sling. Clearly, when there are concerns about her health and her capacity to do the job, bringing in Rahul would have been the easiest thing to do. It doesn't take very much time. But instead, they've passed a resolution to make him president without knowing when it's going to happen. And they've given her an extension when she's clearly not well enough even to attend the CWC meeting. Those are going to look like very strange messages to the people of India, both happening at the same time.
Karan, her not attending the meeting doesn't mean that she was, there is no denying the fact that she's not well. But she isn't that unwell that she can't attend the meeting. The reason she didn't attend the meeting was that it would be very bad form, that she'd be sitting in on a meeting which was going to decide to give her an extension. 2, yes, there is the Congress ties itself in knots by
Can
this.
I interrupt? The last time they gave her an extension, which was roughly this time last year, she was sitting in on that meeting. She had no hesitation then. Why has she got hesitation today?
Well, I'm not so sure if that really happened, but anyway, I bow to your greater knowledge on the subject. Having said that, the Congress party doesn't make things easy for itself. the way they go on, they have this protracted, delayed sense of decision making. Even when they take the right decision, they take it just at the wrong time, and that moment has passed. Perhaps this is one such case. There has been a case for Rahul Gandhi to take over for the last 3 years that I know of. There have been resolutions at the Jaipur conclave of the party. It appeared as if it was just a matter of weeks. Now the time is, and it's beginning to lose its news value, you know, that excitement. The fact that Rahul will take over doesn't even quicken the pulse of the Congress people, because they believe that this is something that should have been done, and they've spoken about it for so long that the surprise factor, the wow factor has gone out of it.
Sharat Pradhan, one explanation for the fact that Rahul hasn't taken over immediately is that they would prefer him to take over after the UP and Punjab elections. If that is the reason, and we don't know for sure, do you think that is to protect him from the possibility, or perhaps even likelihood, that Congress is not going to do well in either? Or are they also, in addition, protecting him from the fact that people will say the president's policy in UP, his strategy in UP failed? Is this a double attempt to protect him?
It could be a double attempt to protect him. But you know, at the end of the day, tell me one thing, how does it make any difference whether Rahul Gandhi is president or vice president or general secretary or nothing? He is there because of his surname, because of the family, and because this party has been for years, it has been following this family has been leading the party, and without that, it is the family on which the party has been, you know, is the pivot of the party. So it makes no difference. It's only the nomenclature makes no difference. And Rahul Gandhi's capabilities have made no difference to the party so far. So how will his taking over as president matter in a state like, yes, it may be, as you rightly said, an attempt to safeguard his image, because if he is president and they do badly in UP, then it will tell badly on him. You know, it will reflect poorly on him. You know, if you remember 2004, when Congress did well in UP in the Lok Sabha, and that was entirely attributable to the shift in the Muslim vote, not because of Rahul. It was but it was attributed to him. And when they did badly in the next election, instantly the state Congress president was removed. So, you know, the whole idea has always been to how to protect members of the family. And here I think this decision today by the CWC passing the unanimous resolution is only to safeguard his interest, that ultimately if anything unforeseen happens, he should be the heir of the party. It's a succession, okay. And it is to protect his.
RPN, let me bring you in. You wanted to discuss this issue about voices in the party that had reservations or at least doubts about Rahul becoming. You rubbish the possibility they exist. I want to quote to you what Smita wrote yesterday in her paper, The Hindu. One powerful section feels that at a time when the party's condition is fragile, Mrs. Gandhi should continue to helm it. That was Smita Gupta in yesterday's Hindu.
Well, you know, journalists, Karan, have sources. I am the source. So when I tell you, if these are these voices with Smita is a very, very senior journalist, if these are the voices, they should have spoken out in the Congress Working Committee, which is the highest body, and all the senior leaders were present. I can understand people saying that they preferred somebody else and all. It can make good copy, but there is no such feeling within the Congress party. The Congress unanimously wanted and wants Rahul Gandhi to take over as the president of the Congress party, and we are seeing it unfolding. And I think that is something, there should be no kind of discussion that we are trying to protect somebody. The kind of contribution the Gandhi family has had to this nation, if we start talking about that, it will take a few days. What I want to say, Karan,
yeah.
It is unanimous. As Mr. Antony said, you can keep playing out that somebody wants this and somebody wants that. It can make good copy, it can make great debates. But I can tell you, as being the source, that the Congress party wants Rahul Gandhi unanimously to be the president of its party.
There was a hint in Smita's earlier answer when she said that the resolution had taken everyone by surprise, and she suggested that it was coordinated by A.K. Antony and Manmohan Singh. There was a hint there. She didn't say it explicitly. I'm saying it explicitly, so to speak, on her behalf. that this was a deliberate maneuver engineered by those two elderly gentlemen to ensure that voices of reservation and hesitation were quashed effectively behind a unanimous resolution. Once that resolution is tabled, it's almost certain it has to be passed unanimously. Yours is not a party that voices dissent in public. You only do it in closed whispers.
We had dissent earlier, Karan, if you see the history of the Congress party, we've had dissent earlier when Congress presidents have been elected or these kind of resolutions have been passed. So I don't understand why those voices were not heard now. We saw when Mrs. Gandhi herself took over as the president, there were people in the Congress Working Committee who did not want Sonia Gandhi ji to take over.
Yes, that was far back as 98. Those dissenting voices have disappeared from 2000 onwards, and 16 years have passed.
So what voices are we talking about?
Well, let's ask Smita. Let's ask Smita. Smita, that sentence of yours that I've quoted, I'll quote it again. It was in yesterday's Hindu.
Yeah.
One powerful section feels that at a time when the party's condition is fragile, Mrs. Gandhi should continue to helm it. Can you give me a sense of who is this powerful section? Because suddenly now they're not going to stand up and speak, but clearly yesterday they were identifiable.
You know, I don't want to take any names, but you know, there are people who have been general secretaries of the party for many decades now, you know, even if they have changed their portfolios. Many of them are concerned that in a Rahul dispensation, they may not hold those positions, you know. So that was also one reason for their resistance to the idea of Rahul Gandhi. And Rahul Gandhi made it easier for them by not, you know, taking on that kind of leadership role that was expected of him, not just by them, but by the party as a whole. I think what has happened today is a result of a general feeling, and I think while that section is still would be unhappy, the rank and file perhaps wants that change, not necessarily because they at the moment have such faith in Rahul Gandhi, but they feel that till he assumes that role, the party is somewhat paralyzed, you know, between Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. And I think Mrs. Gandhi's illness has just made that change possible at this stage, because in the past the change was supposed to actually take place after the 2014 general elections. But when the party did so poorly, it was put off because there was a sense that they wanted to hand the party to Rahul when you know, conditions were more propitious. But I think there is a realization that you cannot keep postponing it, you know, indefinitely. And okay. I would say that Mrs. Gandhi also had a role to play behind the scenes in today's resolution.
Let me put it like this. Smita alluded to general secretaries and other senior functionaries who felt that if Rahul took over, their role and their influence would diminish, and that was one element of hesitation, perhaps resistance to Rahul taking over too quickly. No one denies eventually he will, but they were trying to postpone it and delay. To what extent is there also within Congress, and no doubt it will never be spelt out publicly, but within Congress, concern about the fact that at critical moments, Rahul is his own enemy? Khoon ki dalali probably reverberated on him rather than striking a bullseye target on Mr. Modi. Even the way Rahul raised OROP, anyone who knows the subject will say that to say the Prime Minister is lying simply doesn't reflect reality. Rahul doesn't have that sure eye for saying the right thing and hitting the bullseye.
Well, there are many within the Congress and outside who would agree with that assessment, that perhaps Rahul Gandhi, you know, that 40 days of that effort, and he put in a huge effort in UP, all of it was nullified by that one unfortunate comment, his choice of words. And the other point, and I would like to you know, add to what Smita was saying, one reason why they haven't perhaps gone in for a change is because they don't want to rock the boat. When a change, there will have consequences, there will be changes. Rahul Gandhi will bring in his own new team, and if and some of the old guards will be displaced, that's going to cause a lot of turbulence within the Congress party and outside. And
particularly when it's already fragile.
Particularly when it's fragile, and particularly when it's facing elections in 5 states where it needs to, in Punjab and UP, it needs to do well. Otherwise, the Congress party will really be in a very bad way.
Is there also, and we're talking about elements of concern that lead to hesitation about Rahul taking over, is there also a concern, Sharad Pradhan, about the fact that that campaign that began in UP with so much gusto and so much publicity simply hasn't had that impact on the ground with people? Because now, one element of suggestion that perhaps Congress is rethinking is the fact that Prashant Kishore, whether with Rahul's permission or whether on his own, is actually having not 1 but 2 sets of meetings with Mulayam Singh, which suggests that suddenly in the middle of pursuing one strategy to pursue the Brahmins and to hold these Khat Sabhas, is now pursuing another strategy through Prashant Kishore. So is there concern in UP that Rahul hasn't delivered and may not deliver, and that's another area where people are worried if we make him president, it might not be the right thing to do precisely now?
Well, Karan, I don't see that, because it did make an impact. Rahul's campaign and Prashant Kishore's strategy was received quite well. It was only until he uttered these words, this khoon ki dalali, which has put off people in a very big way, because you will see there was so much nationalist sentiment emerging out of the surgical strikes that people did not take very well to it, because everybody understood that what he is trying to say is khoon ki dalali. The word dalali, apparently, I mean, whether he understood the meaning of the word or not, but it really put off a lot of his Congress supporters. I'm telling you, and there was this feeling among people, because particularly the Muslims, that this was the time to shift, because they were quite disillusioned with the goings on in the Yadav family. Mulayam Singh commands the large chunk of the Muslim vote, and the common feeling was a chunk of the Muslim would go to the BSP as well as the Congress. Today the situation is that after this statement, fine, they as far as the other votes are concerned, but the Muslim vote, why Prashant Kishore is holding these meetings with Mulayam Singh Yadav, it is also in Mulayam's interest, because Mulayam himself is worried about the drift of the Muslim vote. So there is a feeling among the Samajwadi Party people also that if they join hands with the Congress, there is a possibility that the vote shift, which was apprehended towards the Congress, may not happen, and they may continue to stick on with because Muslim vote in this election is extremely important in Uttar Pradesh, and that is going to determine the political destiny of the state.
But very quickly, can I interrupt there? So before I go to RPN, can I interrupt you? Are you suggesting that khoon ki dalali has ensured that Muslims who were previously thinking of going to Congress now worry about whether Congress can win, because khoon ki dalali has damaged Congress and might go to BSP instead, and therefore Rahul has really damaged himself with the khoon ki dalali remark? Is that what you're saying?
Is that question to me, Karan?
I'll come to you in a moment's time as soon as I get his confirmation. Sharad, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying, Sharad?
Yeah. That is partly that. Yes. That is exactly what is happening. And because they feel that the Muslim vote would gravitate to the Congress only if they know that the Congress has the potential to fight. If it is considered as a lame duck, then the Muslim vote is not going towards them.
Let me then bring in RPN,
Muslim vote
because
would go
what
to
you're
a
hearing,
party which is in a position
is that there are a
to beat
series of reasons why people have concern, even though they don't go public, about Rahul taking over now. Not taking over forever, but just taking over now. One, he'll displace an old guard who will lose influence. Secondly, there's the khoon ki dalali remark, which has put a lot of people up. And thirdly, there's the general feeling that he doesn't have a politician's instinct for the jugular. That often when he opens his mouth, he ends up saying the wrong thing. And that can be pretty damaging if you do it as Congress president.
Put in the mouth.
Well, I think, Karan, we are sticking to one word, 2 words. You see his political career and the causes that he's fought for in this country. If the kind of resonance his yatra has had with the farmers of Uttar Pradesh, who've been neglected for the last 27 years, and everybody on that panel, including Mr. Pradhan, would know what is the plight of farmers in Uttar Pradesh. I think the resonance in villages of Uttar Pradesh is immense, And this kind of having a discussion on one word and it's destroyed Rahul Gandhi and all is absolutely absurd. I would come to say, I wouldn't like to use such a strong word, but I would say is absolutely absurd to say that one sentence of his has damaged the Congress party, has damaged him. The resonance in Uttar Pradesh is very, very evident. We are going to do very well in Uttar Pradesh, and we will be forming the government in Punjab, where everybody is talking about how the comeback of the Congress in Punjab has taken place. So to say that he is not done, see the causes he's taken, see the land acquisition bill, see his fight for the Jawans, see his fight for the weaker section, see his fight for the Dalits. The issues which touch the core of the people of this country, the poor and weaker sections, has been immense, and he has continually raised those issues that everybody talks about those issues. We even have the BJP talking about the farmers and the Jawans today. It is because of the fight and the kind of issues that he has raised which has resonance with the people of this country.
Let me then bring you in for the last answer before I take a break, Mr. Mittal. You've just heard RPN say that in fact Rahul Gandhi reflects the issues that matter. The BJP has to then start talking about the same issues themselves. With Rahul as party president, possibly as Smita says even at the end of this year, do you fear that the fight Congress will put up in Uttarakhand, Punjab and UP will be much stronger and much more difficult for you to contend with? Is it a reinvigorated Congress that he will then bring into the field, as opposed to the present one that you are so confident of beating?
Karanji, first I must agree with what Mr. Sharad Pradhan had said earlier, that he always was there. He was de facto. The only thing now is make him de jure so that you might repackage. So as far as Rahul is concerned, there is nothing so important about his elevation or non-elevation. Because he has the authority, no responsibility, no accountability. That's a separate issue. Now, the Rahul effect. See, much as the Congress will like to convince people कि भाई पप्पू बड़ा हो गया, पप्पू बड़ा हो गया, पप्पू बड़ा हो गया, पप्पू बड़ा ही नहीं होता. पप्पू ने खून की दलाली तो एक बात कर दी, वो कहता है सेब की फैक्ट्री की बात कर रहे हैं, उनको ये नहीं पता सेब जो है उगते हैं या फैक्ट्री में बनते हैं. You know, the kind of classical remarks of Mr. Gandhi are endless.
Okay.
So, in the perception of people, if he is now deeply ingrained in the psyche as Pappu, then no matter how much you may like to repackage him, how many times you might relaunch him, how many times everybody will unanimously say that no, we are now going to fight with a great vigor and we'll do this, and now UP will repose its faith on the Pappu, and Punjab will make Pappu victorious. It doesn't happen that way.
All right.
Because all what he does is to follow a scripted drama.
I'm going to stop you there because you're raising an important question I want to take up in part 2. Does Rahul Gandhi have the qualities, the character, the talent and the ambition to be Prime Minister? Remember, ambition is very important. If you don't have it, very few people end up as Prime Minister, except by luck. Or could Mr. Mittal be right in saying Pappus don't become Prime Ministers of India? We're going to take a break and come back and look at Rahul Gandhi himself and ask, has he got what it takes? Or is he just the lucky son born at the right time into the right family?